You ever see a company so massive, so dominant, so untouchable, only to fumble a film harder than Dopey attempting a backflip? Because that's exactly what Disney just did. Again, their new live-action Snow White remake was already a PR nightmare, riddled with cast controversies, angry fans, and boycott threats. But just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it did. From horrendous reviews to CGI so terrible, it looks like it was rendered on a 90s Windows screensaver, to ticket sales so abysmal that even the dwarves' tiny cottage feels overcrowded, this is shaping up to be one of Disney's biggest flops in years. Now, let's talk about the premiere. Disney is known for going all out. Massive red carpets, screaming fans, over-the-top photo ops. It's their thing. But for Snow White, they went into stealth mode, like they were trying to sneak the movie past audiences without anyone noticing. The premiere was so low-key it felt like a private birthday party nobody RSVP'd to. This silent rollout was clearly an attempt to dodge fresh controversy, especially since this movie has been dragged through drama for 2 years straight. No press, Q&A, no interviews, just a handful of cherry-picked influencers posting suspiciously glowing reviews, like Rachel Zegler shines, visually stunning. Bro, are you reviewing Snow White or a wallpaper app? Because the rest of us sure aren't seeing what you're seeing. But Disney's attempt to patch up a sinking ship with duct tape made of forced compliments backfired hard, especially when Rachel Zegler herself decided to call the 1937 classic old-fashioned, instantly alienating even more fans. The reality is, the original Snow White cartoon was made 87 years ago, and while it's undeniably a classic, Rachel Zegler seemed determined to dismiss it as outdated. She even threw in some political jabs, telling certain voters not to watch, because apparently, alienating half your audience is a solid marketing strategy for a family film. Naturally, people suspected Disney wanted to keep her far away from reporters who might ask real questions. But then, surprise, surprise, the select few who attended the premiere flooded social media with glowing praise. Suddenly, Snow White was being called fresh, misunderstood, and a hidden gem. Rachel's performance was somehow getting applause. Despite months of overwhelming negativity, this sudden positivity felt off. People quickly speculated that Disney had carefully curated its invite list to shift the narrative from total train wreck to overlooked masterpiece. But then, the real critics got their turn. Typically, when a studio is proud of a movie, they let critics share their thoughts days in advance to build hype. But not this time. Disney delayed the review embargo until the last possible moment, a move that screamed damage control. And when the reviews finally hit, the movie's ratings tanked faster than a crypto coin after an Elon Musk tweet. It scored a 45% from legitimate critics, and terms like awkward, soulless, a missed opportunity, and a massive waste of resources were thrown around like popcorn. At a bad movie screening, even the nice reviews were lukewarm at best, with takes like, well, it wasn't physically painful to watch. Not exactly the energy you want from a remake of one of Disney's most iconic fairy tales. In fairness, the score has crawled up to 47%, but that's still disastrous for a Disney blockbuster. And a huge part of the backlash? The original story is literally called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. But Disney said, what if we just got rid of the dwarfs? Instead, they replaced them with a randomly diverse group that felt completely disconnected from the original. The new Snow White characters? Yeah, they look like background extras from a Coca-Cola commercial. Fans were furious, so Disney just slapped some CGI over it like that was going to fix things. And look, diversity is great, but erasing a whole group that the original story revolves around, that's not inclusive. That's just confusing. Worse yet, people from the dwarfism community even spoke out, saying, you're replacing jobs that little people could have had. So now Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs has 4 dwarfs? Make it make sense. Now, let's talk about the film's leading ladies, Rachel Zegler and Greta Gerwig, aka Disney's walking PR disasters. Zegler could not stop calling the 1937 classic old-fashioned, while hyping up her modern, independent version. Then, she added a layer of political commentary that alienated half the audience. And Gerwig, she has her own set of political views that stirred up backlash online. Put the two of them together for a press tour, and suddenly, Disney's PR team is sweating harder than Snow White after biting the apple. Critics pointed out that the drama overshadowed the actual movie. People spent more time dissecting the most chaotic interviews than discussing the film itself. It got so bad that Disney literally pulled Zegler back from doing interviews. And that's when you know it's bad, when your own star is a liability with a microphone. At the end of the day, people agreed. If the movie had actually been good, maybe audiences could have ignored the controversy. But here's where things go from bad to worse. Theaters are empty. Embarrassingly empty. People started posting seat maps from major theaters across the country on opening weekend. Primetime showings in big cities had barely a handful of seats sold. Some people even reported entire screenings with 0 tickets purchased. For a Disney family film, that's practically unheard of. Even The Little Mermaid, which had its own share of controversy, still managed to pull in solid numbers. But Snow White? This is shaping up to be a slow-motion box office crash. If you're Disney and your Snow White remake can't sell tickets on opening weekend, that's a problem bigger than any evil queen. And I tell you what, if this video gets 4,000 likes in the next 48 hours, I'll personally go suffer through this movie for you guys. Because honestly, the online reaction has been brutal. People are roasting the fake promo tweets, the questionable CGI, the empty theaters, and of course, Rachel Zegler's interview bloopers. One viral TikTok summed it up perfectly. Snow White lost the dwarves, the plot, the magic, and the fans. All in one go. Longtime Disney fans aren't happy. Casual moviegoers aren't interested. And even the people who usually defend Disney are looking around like, okay, yeah, this one's rough. But here's the thing, Disney will bounce back. They've still got Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, right? Disney may have its theme parks, merchandise empire, and a vault overflowing with cash. But even those might not be enough to save the company from the storm brewing over Snow White. For years, audiences have tolerated remakes, reboots, and reimaginings, hoping for something that would at least honor the heart of the originals. But this time, things feel different. If Snow White crashes and burns at the box office, it won't just be a bad weekend for Disney, it will be a message. A loud, undeniable sign that moviegoers are done with hollow cash grabs, forced rewrites, and corporate storytelling that prioritizes headlines over heart. At one point, Snow White might have been viewed as Disney's next major live-action success, a chance to redeem itself after The Little Mermaid and The Marvels. Instead, it's shaping up to be one of the studio's biggest PR nightmares. Bad CGI, from leaked set photos to questionable visual effects, everything about the film's aesthetic feels off. For a company that once set the standard for animation and fantasy visuals, this is embarrassing. Disney has all but abandoned traditional marketing for this film, leading many to speculate that they are bracing for impact. The usual press tours and media blitz, nowhere to be seen. Early projections and audience reactions suggest that Snow White might struggle to fill seats. If the box office numbers disappoint, Disney's reputation as an industry leader will take another major hit. Silenced leading lady, Rachel Zegler was once front and center, passionately discussing the film. Now, Disney has completely muzzled her, keeping her away from interviews and public appearances to avoid further controversy. When a studio is hiding its lead actress rather than promoting her, that's a clear sign of trouble. This isn't just about Snow White. This is about a growing frustration with Hollywood's obsession with recycling old stories rather than creating new ones. People don't want remakes that rewrite beloved classics just for the sake of it. They don't want scripts that prioritize corporate messaging over storytelling. They don't want to feel like they're being talked down to by the very studio that once captured their imagination. If Snow White fails, it won't just be about this one movie, it will be about audiences rejecting Disney's entire current strategy. Right now, it looks like Disney is about to learn a very expensive lesson. Whether they actually listen, though, is another question entirely.